It was a breathtaking goodbye. Under the bluest of skies, polished metal glinted, and heads were bowed. As what you might call the Duke's second family. 700 members of the British Armed Forces waited to say farewell to a serviceman, a naval officer, and one of the last veterans of the Second World War. Prince Philip's coffin was carried from the state entrance of Windsor Castle, covered in his personal standard, along with his sword and cap. It was placed upon a Land Rover, painted military green, a vehicle designed and adapted into a hearse by the man now being carried upon it. In contrast to the vibrant colours on the quadrangle lawn, behind the coffin, the Windsor family assembled, dressed in black. Medals, but no military uniforms. And as the national anthem played, Her Majesty the Queen made her first appearance in public since the loss of her husband. And where he would normally be, by her side, was her lady-in-waiting. Prince Philip held 42 appointments in the British Armed Forces and Commonwealth, including Lord High Admiral, so it was fitting that all parts of the military accompanied him on his final journey. During the procession, every minute the sound of drums and trumpets was pierced by a bell toll from the curfew tower. A message of love from the Queen. While his stamp was on every part of this ceremony, it was his absence that was most keenly apparent. The Queen entering the chapel alone, looking more solitary than ever. Prince Charles and Princess Anne led the funeral procession, with Prince Harry and Prince William either side of the Queen's eldest grandchild, Peter Phillips. A Royal Navy piping party played the Still as the Land Rover stopped at St George's Chapel. A bearing party of Royal Marines carried the coffin up the steps, pausing for a minute's silence. The Queen sat alone inside, and COVID rules limited the number of mourners to 30. The Dean of Windsor led the service.
We have been inspired by his unwavering loyalty to our Queen, by his service to the nation and the Commonwealth, by his courage, fortitude and faith. Our lives have been enriched through the challenges that he has set us, the encouragement that he has given us, his kindness, humour and humanity.
In the cavernous chapel, a chorus of 3 choristers and a soprano sang Eternal Father Strong to Save. Traditionally associated with the Navy, it was sung at the funeral of the Duke's beloved uncle, Lord Mountbatten. Every key event of the Queen's life has been watched by millions. But today, her mask and brimmed hat gave this most public of figures some privacy in this intimate last moment with her lifelong companion.
We remember before thee this day Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, rendering thanks unto thee for his resolute faith and loyalty, for his high sense of duty and integrity, for his life of service to the nation and Commonwealth, and for the courage and inspiration of his leadership.
On the altar were prominent awards the Duke had earned, including medals from the Second World War. He'd wanted little fuss, and the pandemic ensured this was a simple service, and therefore perhaps more relatable to the many who've lost loved ones in recent times, who've also been restricted by the rules. As his coffin was lowered to a vault below the chapel, a single piper played. And the moment didn't need the presence of foreign dignitaries, monarchs or presidents. Its power was in its simplicity. After the playing of the last post, the Queen was led out of the chapel. The palace says, due to restrictions, there was no social event afterwards. In its place, the rest of the family decided to walk from the chapel rather than take cars. This interaction between Princes Harry and William, a possible first sign of reconciliation after their rift over Harry's departure to the US and Oprah Winfrey interview. The Queen will need family unity now. She's been our longest reigning monarch, but for the first time in 73 years, at nearly 95 years old, she carries on without her consort, her closest friend and husband. Jason Farrell, Sky News.